All right, let's just get into it. You want to just do it?
Yeah, I don't care. I'm not the one we're going to be questioning.
Yeah, Dave, you ready?
Dave, you're screwed. No.
Ready as I'm going to be. Ready for the tough questions, right?
Yeah.
Well, Jake asked some tough questions that I can't control.
This is my new house.
That's your new house,
nice.
Jake. That's very nice.
I just bought this. Yeah.
Why don't you have Dave put a roof on for you? Looks like it needs a roof.
It's gonna need a roof. It's slate. It's slate.
Oh,
Oh man,
Yeah.
I've been there before.
that's expensive.
Yes, it is. We had a church we were renovating, and they needed a slate roof.
So
Yeah,
hello
it's gonna be
everybody.
expensive.
This is the Mike and Jake show. This is episode 2 with David Zook. David is a roofer and real estate investor. He's a business owner, and he's very young. He has an interesting background, an interesting story, and I think it'll be a really great interview, a really great conversation. We're going to talk about assets and some investments today, and we are not giving investment advice or selling securities by any means. So please do with that what you will. Mike, how are you doing this morning?
Good. I'm doing good. It's snowing here.
That's good. And Dave Zook, how are you this morning, man?
It's a beautiful day in central Pennsylvania.
Dave, you were saying, Jake, he's young. How old are you, Dave?
I am 22.
Jake, he's got you beat.
Yeah, he's younger than me. So I first met Dave when we were wholesaling, and we actually wholesaled a seller finance deal to Dave, a duplex in Berwick. And I think we were talking before then, but that was the first time that we actually worked together. So Dave, give me a little background about what you're doing right now and what you want to do.
Yeah, like Jake said, yeah, and actually that was the first apartment that I got, and thanks to Jake and his partner at the time for all their hard work and getting that worked out. We were up against the wall, and next thing Jake had something figured out. So my name is David Zook. I run a construction company called Zook's Enterprises LLC in roofing. We do siding, obviously roofing, rubber. We do a lot of metal, a lot of shingle roofs, and we try to stay away from slate. We do some slate tear off if we have to. But yeah, basically siding, anything exterior remodeling. We do some decks as well. And then I do some real estate on the side, trying to get more duplex bought up. And then I also have an Airbnb as well, looking to get a couple more of those as well.
Real quick, have you ever had a W-2 job, Dave?
Yes, I did for a short time.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's rewind and let's go back to, like, how did you get started in business? How did you get started? Because you have a really interesting story. So can you tell me a little bit about that? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So when I was 16, I moved away from home. I grew up in the Amish community and left when I was 16. And then I got about 5 jobs. Odd jobs, they were all part-time. One was helping a farmer milk, actually 2 of them at that time, first when I left. And then I worked at a farm store, which was a W-2 job. And then I did some odd jobs on the side as well in between those jobs, and with no phone at the time. And then when I left, I got a phone soon after that, but I had those jobs even right before I left. So then I eventually got into doing construction full-time for another guy, and then I went on my own a couple years after that.
So you're 16, you're Amish, which for anybody that doesn't know what the Amish community is, they are Christians that kind of don't think that technology is good for their community. What can you enhance on that, Dave? What is the Amish community about?
There's a lot of different Amish groups. There's a lot of them. I grew up in the old order Amish. We wouldn't have cell phones, obviously. The construction world is not supposed to have skid loaders and have their own vehicles. A lot of them are now, but we don't have cell phones. We use the landline phone for the most part. And you have no technology at home, obviously no TV, no computers or anything like that. And we drove the horse and buggy where we went, and then we got a driver for when we had to go Lancaster or somewhere out of the area. So yeah, basically we just did a lot farm with horses. I grew up on a farm. We had about 40 cows that we milked. I helped Dad milk for many years, ever since I was probably, I don't know, 6 or 8. I was helping carry buckets of milk into the milk house and dump them out, and help cut the fields for hay, ted the hay. We had some tobacco at a short time there. Farm that, you got to plant that basically by hand. There's a little, I don't know, 2 people sit in it, little buggy, and you put the plant in and it covers it back up. And then you chop it all by hand, chop it down, let it dry for a little bit. And then you put it in a lath, put it on the wagon, take it into the barn, let it hang. And then the winter months, you strip it out and put it in tight bills, and then you get a guy to haul it away. And so it's all done by hand. The hay bills, we had a baler. So we would have about 4 horses pull the baler with the wagon, and we would take up all the hay, stack it on the wagon by hand, take it into the barn, unload it by hand as well. And we bought some grain, but we had our own corn that we chop by hand. No, we would chop around the field by hand, and then we had a binder that would put it in a bundle and put it up in the wagons and then take it in. And then we had a big chopper that would blow it up into the silos with a big old diesel engine roaring. Yeah, I grew up on a farm and just got taught at a very young age to work hard. And I'm really thankful for that looking back.
So when you said you left at 16, you just left on your own? Did you go to somebody? Did you go to a family member's house, or did you have to find a friend, or you just left that whole community straight out?
So it was me and my brother. He was 18 at the time, and I was 16. We moved into a friend's camper for the winter, and it got so cold we moved into another friend's house so we didn't freeze, because the camper's hard to keep warm in the winter time. That's how we left. Yeah, and then we got a couple of jobs right out of the gate. I was doing some part-time construction, I guess, about as soon as I left, and then some farming still for a couple of friends for a year or so. I didn't really get full-time in construction till probably 2020, somewhere in there. I did some other stuff, did farming. I was thinking about doing farming for quite some time, but I just didn't really never had the opportunity. And obviously the equipment's very expensive, but I love farming. I didn't mind.
Sure. So you're still friends with your family? Everything's still good, or?
My sister left a little while after that. I haven't spoken to Dad in a couple of years, actually. I should go talk to him. You
should, as a parent, you should. You know what I mean? I think he'd be proud of you.
Yeah, he's really missing out on his son's life, both of his 2 sons' lives. He really feels, and there's a whole backstory to that as well, but he really feels like we did wrong, and therefore, and they also had the shunning. So I never was a member of the Amish community, but they have shun. If you join, then they're not supposed to communicate with you, which I was never a part of. So technically they should accept me and talk to me, but they don't want to because they're afraid that my influence will have more Amish young boys of my age will leave. Therefore, they're really tight with communication.
Yeah, you're doing well. You know?
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine leaving at 16 with my brother. We don't even know how to cook eggs, right? No, it's just crazy.
No, so, I left with the clothes on my back, literally. I had maybe $500 to my name, and so I went and bought clothes the next day, and that was the $500 that I spent on clothes.
Wow.
I started from zero, and then I just kept working jobs and save up a little bit of cash, and then bought a car, and then saved up a little bit more and bought a truck, and just started from nothing. Yeah, in 2019 in the summer, I had zero.
And then how did you get that duplex? All of a sudden one day you were laying in your bed at 18 years old saying, I want to buy real estate?
I always wanted real estate. They don't make more. There's only so much land and houses that you can buy. And I always wanted to. I would like to eventually come to the point where I could live off of real estate, whether that's long-term rentals or short-term rentals. But I always wanted some, and I wasn't sure where to go. I looked for months before I spoke to Jake and bought the duplex there in Berwick. I was looking online at I was constantly looking at places and seeing what they were.
So this duplex you kept as a rental?
Yeah, there's both rented out downstairs and upstairs. It's fully rented out long term. Yeah.
And where do you live?
I live in Lewisburg right now. I live in one of my duplexes in Lewisburg.
Oh, so how many duplexes you have?
2 right now.
Man, and you're 22?
Yeah.
Yeah, he left the Amish community when he's 16.
And I'm only getting started. My goal is to get probably around 30 long-term rentals, and at least I would like to get at least 5 Airbnbs over the next couple of years.
And you said you have Airbnb now, right?
That's right.
And how's that working?
It's a little slow, obviously, because it's the winter time now. It's right here in Lewisburg, and so it's nice with Buckhorn and the hospital. And also Knoebels, actually. People come here for Knoebels. And yeah, we're getting bookings for the spring, and it pays for itself pretty easily as long as you get a couple bookings a month.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So you think it's better to Airbnb that than if you rented it out?
So I actually, when I bought it, I was going to learn to rental because that's all I knew at the time. And so
Yeah.
I fixed it up for a rent. And then a friend of mine said, you should really put that on Airbnb. I was like, no, I don't know. I never did it. I don't know how the process is, but he said, no, you should. I think you're in Lewisburg there. You're close to Buckhorn, Bucknell, and the hospital. You should put it on Airbnb. I think you would do well. And I said, okay. So he had a friend, it's actually his sister, that gets Airbnbs ready, puts the furniture in, the beds, everything that you need. And so they did it for me last summer, fall, and then actually now I have someone hosting it for me. So I really don't do much with it. It's running on its own. So it's really nice that way. And I don't have to constantly be on Airbnb. So it's taking care of itself.
So when you say host, just so people understand out there, you have someone that actually runs it for you then, correct?
Yeah. Yep,
And
they answer all the questions and give them the door code, and we give them a small percentage off the top.
Okay. Who cleans?
We have a local cleaner here that cleans it every time that the people book out. Check out, I should say.
Yeah. Have you had any crazy stories or problems yet with that Airbnb?
No, it's been good.
Yeah.
Has a nice backyard, and hopefully this summer we can have people out there. As long as the fire doesn't get out of control with the campfire, we'll be all right.
But you don't let people, how many people you allow in there? Is there like a limit of how many people you could have in, or parties, or?
I think it's around 5. I'm not, so there's 2 beds. It's a 2-bedroom, and then there's a couch that folds into a bed. But I'm actually not even sure because I don't do the hosting. So
yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah, this is great. He's hands off.
How did you, Dave? So let's rewind a little bit. So 16, $0, no place to live, nothing. And
nothing.
6 years later, you got a couple properties, you got a very successful business. How did you go from there to there? What did you do? And when did you start your business, and what did that look like?
Yeah, I did. Like I said, I just started with 0. I spent the money that I had when I left. I literally left with the clothes on my back and $600. Nothing. Everything that I had stayed home pretty much. So basically, like I just said, I lived in a camper. Me and my brother lived in a camper for a little while, and then we moved up to a friend's house, lived there, and then eventually we moved out of there and into an apartment. And then in 2021, I started my construction company, which I was basically just subbing that whole year for another crew. And then eventually I just started doing some of my own jobs, and then more and more. And then also with the property in Berwick didn't help. I was working there at night, and then during the day working for a construction company, and I just didn't have enough time. So I was like, I think I should just go on my own. And so then I did. Then I was working by myself for a year or so, and then I hired one guy to help, and then I hired another guy, and then now we have a couple full-time guys, and then we have a couple crews helping us. So I just got more and more work, and then I hired more people as I got more work, and we're here today. So we have 3 full-time, and then we have a couple sub crews that help us out with bigger shingle jobs, and a guy that does our gutters for us. So just so you don't have to keep everybody busy, because sometimes we have, a big 40 square shingle roof, and us 4 guys, so it's going to take us a couple days where we hire a crew and they do it in a day or 2. That way the roof is closed. You don't have, and Jake, you said that you did shingles a while back. You know how it is. You have the roof open and it rains or snows, and the sooner you get it closed, the better. So I try to if I open a roof, close it as fast as possible.
Yeah, you're up there banging a roof out the same day. You're those crews.
Yeah. No, we can do 30, at least 20 to 30 square we do in a day.
Which is a big
a
roof.
regular traditional house. Yeah.
Big roof.
How did you save up money to buy your first deal, and how did you find your first deal?
So I think I found you on Facebook is how I did it. I just looked online for quite some time, and I was like, that's a good price, and it's a 2-unit. I wanted a 2-unit. And so I just reached out to Jake. And so I actually didn't have the money. So believe it or not, a couple people were like, you can't buy that. And There was like, where are you going to come up with the down payment money? So I actually didn't have it, but I had a really good friend of mine that I called up and said, hey, because I actually didn't realize how much the closing costs were going to be. So I don't know. I'm agreeing for this. I wasn't quite prepared for how much it was at closing. So I borrowed a little chunk of change. And so then what I did is when closing time, I had it. And so I paid it, and he wanted it right back as well. So for a couple months, I had to do $3,000 a month, pay him back. It wasn't like $1,000. So I was working my tail off for a couple months there to pay that back. So I was living off of cereal and water, basically. I couldn't even afford milk there for a little while.
So you were
No, it
cursing
wasn't
out,
quite that
you were
bad.
cursing out Jake for a couple of months, huh?
Yeah, but I that's how I did it, and I'm really glad I did that. It really stretched me. I was like, wow, this is actually possible. So yeah, I paid him back in, I think, 5 or 6 months, $3,000 a month, and then obviously I was working up there too, so I needed money to fix it up and get it rented out, and so I just scraped by and lived below my means quite a bit.
Which is not a big deal, especially when you ran away at 16 with just your
Yeah.
clothes and your back and $500.
You've done it. You've done
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and
So
and the thing.
To gather up $3,000 a month to pay for a house that you're going to rent out for whatever dollars a month, you're all right.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, a lot of times you think you can't do it, but you can. If you work hard and you work harder and you think you have to, then it's possible. But I just had very low expectation, very low living. I had an old beat up pickup truck, and I had an older car that was paid off, so I had no car payments and just a small rent a month. It was very reasonable. It was nothing fancy. And that's how I was able to do it. Otherwise, I would have never been able to come up with that kind of money if I would have had a nice car. Just because I could afford it at the time, I wouldn't have been able to buy the property.
Well, $3,000 a month, you could afford a nice car.
Yeah, that was hard. That was hard. Yeah, but it's
Well,
good.
So you said, hey, I'll buy this house, go into contract. You didn't even have the money.
His first deal.
Jake, did you not know this, Jake?
I didn't know that either, but
I wasn't going to tell Jake.
completely off market, right? Completely off market. Seller finance, needed a decent amount of work, and you didn't have the money. So you still had the balls to do it. That's impressive.
I did not know he has balls. He has balls. He ran away at 16. Well, he left something that he didn't believe in. But yeah.
Yeah, there's no excuse. There's no excuse. So he didn't have the money. He borrowed it from somebody else, and then he worked his face off to pay that back. And now, Dave, how much equity do you have in that property? What is your monthly payment on that duplex?
So it's $754. The equity is at least $100,000, conservatively, probably a little bit more. So yeah, it's going to pay itself off. I'll probably either refinance it eventually or sell it, one of the two. And yeah, it's both is rented out. It pays for itself. It doesn't make cash flow that much till everything's paid, but yeah, it pays for itself, and we're paying down the loan.
Yeah, and you have equity there.
Certainly, yeah.
How much work?
Go ahead.
All right. How much work did you do on it?
A little bit. So we changed out some flooring, painted some of the walls. Some of the appliances need to be replaced. The washer and dryer, the front porch needs some work, which is all work that I could do.
Yeah.
So we just did it on Saturdays or evenings. Throughout that time, a lot of times throughout the week, I would work all day at my day job and then work at night at another job to make sure I could make the $3,000 a month. So I was working. It was during the summer, which was nice, so it doesn't get dark till 8 or 9. So I would work till dark. So I would work from 7 to 9 or 10 at night.
That's great.
That's the American dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really, if you sacrifice in your early years when you're single and young, you don't need a lot. You really don't need a lot. And if you just put yourself up to it and force yourself to go through that, it'll really make you grow, and you realize how much you're actually capable of doing. And a nice car is nice, but you can wait. You can first get 10 rentals and then.
That's right.
Yeah. And it's so much in our culture right now. We're so taught that you got to right now, you got to have what you want. And no, it can wait.
Thank God you didn't have the internet till 16.
Yeah. No,
Right?
and if I could touch on that, all that to say, the Amish community isn't all bad. I really appreciate that I didn't have internet growing up. And I also really appreciate that I was taught at a very young age to work hard and to get out there and do it no matter what. It was cold. We milked the cows. It was like, I don't know, 20, 30 degrees in there. because there was no heat in there except the cows. They gave some heat. So it might have been a little bit warmer than that. I'm not sure. But you went out there no matter the weather. If it was cold, wet, and you helped Dad milk the cows, or you milked them when I got a little older, I milked them with my sister. And it just taught you discipline to get out there and do it. And it's really being lost in our culture today. So I definitely appreciate a lot of aspects of the way I grew up. No internet, was taught at a very young age to work hard and to stick to it. And chores before school is so good for, in my opinion, I might get pushback from that, but I really think having chores before you go to school is a great idea.
You have to wake up early, do the chores before you go to school.
Yeah, and I think I did a study or somewhere where it's proven that they do better if they get out and do chores before school.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah.
I have a problem getting up at 6 a.m., but
I know every time I've worked with Amish people or somebody from that community,
they're early birds too.
first of all, they're tremendous workers and they have a really good work ethic. And I do think that we need a lot more of that in our culture. A lot of people don't, our generation, Dave, specifically, I don't know what the mentality is because I don't really hang around those type of people, but a lot of people just don't feel the need to get up and grind. And especially when you're young, man, you're going to have the most energy you're going to have when you're young. So you should grind when you're young. And just listening to you, Dave, you grinded. That's grinding.
Yeah, that's grinding.
And a lot of people say, I've heard now that I'm around some richer people and stuff, they're like, oh, don't grind. Like grinding isn't good. I'm telling you, if you want to get ahead, grind your face off. Work until your eyes bleed. Go hard, and you're going to get ahead. That's it. So, and Dave's living proof of it.
I mean, if you look at Elon Musk, he for a number of years he slept in the factory. How many of us would be willing to sleep on a concrete floor to make sure things get done? We all want nice things, and we're not willing to sacrifice them for a little bit for growth. And now he's worth almost $500 million. So that just shows.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, $500 billion. I said it wrong. I'm sorry. I think it's like 440 billion right now or something. Yeah, it's skyrocketing. Every couple of years it doubles, it seems. He did a lot in the early years, and I think that's necessary to grind. I 100% agree with you, Jake. I think you have to, at least temporarily.
Yeah, I hope that there is a change coming in our country right now, and that a lot of the younger generation gets inspired by figures like Elon Musk and even like you, Dave, and they see that it's possible for other people, so they start doing it themselves. I know me personally, I've been inspired by some of the things that Elon's done and people like him have done. They're really building things that nobody thought was possible. And it makes you think, okay, we can do whatever we want. We can make things happen that might not be possible today. So it is really inspiring. Now, do you think, so we're talking a lot about money. What is your focus? Is it money, or why do you want to buy properties? What do you want to do? Like, why do you work so hard? Is it just so that you have more money? What is it?
No. So money doesn't buy you happiness, but it certainly can buy you time, and it can buy you freedom. So really my goal is to buy enough real estate that I can live off of it and get away from the construction side of things, or sell the business, or just so the nice thing about construction is it's a lot of work, but you can get ahead if you're willing to work really hard. You have to be willing to work hard, and some of that goes with it. Jake, when you were saying about how hard Elon and other figures have worked, you have to put in the work to achieve those goals. But my goal is to work hard now, and then later when I have a family and start having children, and then we can go and travel and see the world when we're all young, instead of wait till you're 70 to go travel the world. So that's my goal, is to work hard so I can cash flow off of real estate eventually and get away from the construction side. So that's my goal, to be able to live off of real estate.
You don't need that many.
You don't.
100. You'll see as you go along. You might have 10, 15. You'll be like, I'm comfortable.
Yeah, I like to have at least 15, and my goal is 30 to live. I think, and maybe if they're paid off, I don't need that many. If they pay off, they cash flow quite a bit more.
This is what I learned, is that, okay, because your first step is, okay, you want to get financial freedom level 1, where you have enough cash flow coming in to to do whatever you want. When I was 25, I hit that goal. And what I learned was that if I start traveling and stuff now, I can't, like, first of all my friends are working, right? All my friends, they can't really come with me to travel or anything. And I still have family that isn't able to, they're not wealthy, right? I don't come from a wealthy family. So what I learned when I hit that goal is I actually need to make 10x what I thought I'd need to make, because it's very lonely to go and travel all
That's
the
right.
time.
I was just going to say that, Jake. You got to make at least double to pay for them to bring them along.
You got to bring people with you. So you basically have to make a lot more than you think you do to be able to bring people with you and to be able to take care of, you know, your family. And for me, like, there's no way I could sit on a beach all day if I know that my aunt can't make her heat bill or whatever, just an example, or my mom has a broken down car and I'm sitting on a beach somewhere. Like, that doesn't work for me. So that's what I learned when I hit that goal. Just put it out there. So
Certainly. You're 100% right, Jake. And is it really that much fun? After about 4 days at the beach, I want to go back to work. I actually don't really enjoy going to the beach that much, like for a long period of time. I enjoy working. I enjoy what I do. So I don't think, I guess my goal would be is if we wanted to travel, we could. And also, a lot of people get older and they still have to work, even though they're in pain or they don't have the energy to, but they have to. I would much rather work really hard now so that when I get older and can't work, that I don't have to. And also provide good paying jobs for people in the community. Just that's another big thing. If you can provide value into your community, the 3 guys that work for me, they get a paycheck. And then the cleaner gets paid for the Airbnb and the host, and you can provide good paying jobs for your community and add value to your community. That's a big part too, that I inspire to hire more people for those kind of jobs.
Dave, how did you, so you grew your roofing business from subbing out to other people, and now you have 3 full-time people working for you. How did you grow your roofing business? How did you find new business, first off? And then how did you find the right people to work with you?
So that's a very good question. I didn't find the right people right away. I think sometimes if it feels you got to do everything right, you just got to start. I didn't. I had to fire quite a bit of people. I had people that weren't dependable, weren't reliable, and I didn't really have the best systems either. And I'm still young in the company. I'm still working through that. But I think it really, what helps is just to get people and try and pay them really well, pay them more than anybody else does, or pay them as much as you can so that they stay. Because it's really expensive to go through people all the time. So just properly screening them and making sure that that they can feed their families comfortably. And I really try to pay my guys as much as I can, give them a life too. We have all the full-time guys get a week's paid vacation, because you know how it is when you work somewhere. When you go on vacation, not only are you not making money, but you're also spending money, and a vacation isn't cheap. So they get a week's paid vacation. They get a lot of bonuses throughout the year, whether it's a job that gets done early, they get bonuses. Just however I can make it more convenient for them, so that they want to stay and they want to put in the work that needs to be done, because I don't want them to leave. Not of them. They all are great. They do a good job. They work really hard, and I want them to stay, and I want them to enjoy their work. Does that answer your question? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Oh,
So
that does.
it sounds
That's
like
smart.
it's a constant work in progress too.
Yeah. And once in a while, last year we hired some wrong people, and we were really struggling. And you move on, and then you realize when you hire some new people how much better they are as well. So sometimes you hire the wrong people and you just have to move on, and it's expensive, but it's just part of the roofing industry.
Mike, you take it away.
No, does anybody reach out to you, like your old friends from your undersig in the Amish community?
Yeah, and I have a couple that reach out, and they're always very curious.
Yeah.
I think that they're more curious now than ever, since they know more about my life. Unfortunately, a lot of them want you to fail when they leave so that you come back. And so when you don't, there's also some that are just inspired by it or reach out and see how I'm doing, and others that hate me for leaving.
Yeah. So you can't really borrow private money from them.
Not so far. I think that'll change over
That's,
the
you know,
years.
yeah, because they make money, right?
Yeah.
What
Oh,
do they
yeah.
do? What do they do with their money if they're not paying an electric bill? They don't have phone. They don't have. You just save your money. And
So much depends on. That's a good question.
You
Some
reinvest
of
in
them,
the community, probably, right? Yeah. What do you do with it?
yeah, like do you have
some
your
of them
own
buy real
bank? Yeah, they buy real estate.
Yeah, some of them buy real estate. So one of the things is to think about is the Amish don't have so much insurance. We have insurance for everything. They'll save some money up as kind of a retirement fund because they don't get, I don't believe, some of the more liberal might, but I don't believe that they get Social Security or any kind of government. They really don't want government involved in their schools. Amish went to jail in the early, I believe it was early 1900s to not have government regulate their schools. They believe in a very skimmed down version of, and really, they do a really good job. You only go to school for 8 full grades, and then you have ninth and 10th is Fridays, half a day Friday that you go in and fill out tests and stuff, and then you work. And the idea is that by the time you're 15, you should be able to work a full-time job and go into construction or help your dad on the farm. And they don't want people going to school till they're 18 because they want them to work at a younger age. In that sense, I agree with that because I was able to work at a younger age and it got me going a lot sooner versus if I would have went to school till I was 18.
I would try to tap into that market because if you have Amish people out there with money and you're part of the Amish, I don't know. I guess you left on a bad note, as you said, but I don't know. There's untapped money there, Jake.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like I want to go Amish, honestly. Like these are good values.
Yeah.
But
no,
yeah.
it's very impressive. I like how you take care of your employees. I believe so. I do construction also. We do new custom modular homes. We flip houses, but we pay our guys more than the regular guy. I don't want to lose them. We buy houses to flip sometimes where we make no money, but it's just to keep them busy. And that's important. And they stay by your side. I don't ever want someone to not like me working for me.
Yeah.
You know? And because that when you pay them well, they care. And that's what I need, someone at a job site that cares. Not someone that's, I get $12 an hour. He's not going to care. And no, you're very impressive. You're going to go far.
Yeah.
We're actually going to have to move him to the middle, put Jake to the left on the podcast.
Yeah. It's going to be,
he's going to be the king. King Dave.
To watch.
Very impressive, Dave.
Yeah, thanks for the kind words. We're just getting started. I feel like I'm really just getting started. I really would like to, our goal is to do around $1 million a year with the construction side and then do some real estate on the side where we have time. And then when we're slower, have the guys work on that kind of stuff to keep them busy, just like you said, Mike, especially in the wintertime, this time of year when it's slow and cold and miserable outside.
You do a lot of metal roofs?
Quite a bit. Probably 60, 80% of the time it's metal roof.
Yeah. Do you like metal roofs?
Yeah, we do. We put them over top of shingle roofs quite a bit if there's one layer of shingles on traditional residential houses. And then we put a lot of shingles up. People still like shingles, and that's fine. And sometimes shingles are a better option for depending on how the roof is done. It's really hard to bend the metal around to certain weird.
No, I know. We put up metal roofs too. I like them. It's,
Do you use the standing seam or do you like to use the traditional exposed fastener?
So I'm the owner. You're talking to the wrong guy. I can show you pictures. I don't know what they do. With traditional, I think though. Like
it's probably because it's a lot cheaper.
It is a lot cheaper. It's cheaper than shingle.
Yeah, the standing seam's very expensive, but then it's going to last for a very long time.
And actually, I know what you're talking about now. Yes, and it depends on the house that I'm doing too.
Dave, can you quickly describe what is your life expectancy on standing seam versus the other one that you mentioned versus shingle?
So the shingles that we install are a 40-year shingle. We use the Owens Corning quite a bit. They're architectural shingle. They have the nylon strip, which is one of the reasons we use it. We had one time where we installed it in Bloomsburg, and it was very windy a day like today, and none of them blew off. That really sold me on them. They like the traditional GAF or even the Certainty doesn't have the nylon strip, which they tend to rip loose quicker because you're relying on just a shingle, where if you actually pull a shingle up, it really holds it very well. So that's the shingle we like to use quite a bit. That's almost all we put on anymore. And then for the metal, The exposed fastener is a 28 gauge corrugated metal. It's what on barns, but people would put them on houses too. We put a lot of those on houses over top of shingles, or if the customer wants to tear the shingles off, we tear the shingles off and put the metal on. That metal is considered a 50-year metal, but the screws don't last that long. They'll start coming up after 25 years, depends on. They do now make a 50-year screw that is supposed to last for 50 years, but those you really got to make sure that they're put in perfect because they have a metal covering the rubber washer. So we do some of those too, not that much because of that. But what you can do is in 25, 30 years, if the nail comes up, the screws, you can just go in and put a thicker screw in it, and then you're good for a long time as well. And then the standing seam normally is a 24 or 26 gauge. That is, I think they make it different sizes as well, but that, a lot of times we put the textured on, gives it more grip. That's another part of a metal roof as well. Those roofs I've seen them last for 100 years.
And so would you recommend going right over shingles? Is that good? What are your thoughts on that?
I've never had any issues with it. Some people have strong opinions about it. You got to tear the shingles off. So we have the same warranties whether we take the shingles off or not. If the shingles are really old and are flaky and crumb, or like
they're curling up and stuff
curling
like
up and totally worn out, then I would recommend tearing it off. But if they're laying very nice, if you put purlins down and put the metal on top, it's going to last for a very long time. And it gives it a second. If the metal roof ever leaks, it'll go down and hit the shingle and probably won't leak. It'll go either melt when the sun comes out or go down and go out through the edge of the roof, the eave of the roof. We do it all the time. I don't see any problems as long as it's only one layer. If it's 2 or 3 layers, then that could become a problem because you might not grab hold of much, if anything. You shoot nails through it. So as long as it's one layer, they lay nice. Like I said, our warranties are the same. I have a lot of confidence, and we never had any issues.
And what's your service area, Dave? Where do you service?
All of Pennsylvania, and we do service some New York. We did a job up in Waverly. Anywhere around a 2-hour. We do some work in Philadelphia, try not to, but mainly Lewisburg, Williamsport, greater central Pennsylvania area, all the way around up to.
So you work in Luzerne County?
Yeah.
Lackawanna, Scranton area?
Yeah, not a lot, but yeah, we do. Yeah.
Do you work with investors or it's just residential price straight out? So say
Honestly,
I come to you
we
and say,
don't-
hey, Dave, I'm a flipper. I don't want to flip a lot of houses. I'm going to have you do my roof.
Okay, sounds good. We do working with investors. Honestly, certain times we like working with, sometimes not, because sometimes they're very cheap, which
Yeah.
I'm an investor too, so I'm pretty cheap.
Yeah.
So I'm my own enemy that way, but it can be hard to do roofs right. A lot of times they want to do the cheapest route, not the best route. Not always, but
We see it a lot. I see it a lot, and I don't think it's worth it. But
yeah, and if you do it right, then it's going to last so much longer, and you won't have to come back and fix it, or the new owner that buys it won't have to worry about a roof for a very long time. But yeah, we work with investors, anybody.
How can they reach out to you? You
can look up zooksenterprise.com, or my phone number for the company is 570-238-4334. We have a website, and email should be on there as well.
Okay, and Jake will put all that on.
That'll all be in the description below.
Yes, excellent.
zooksenterprisepa.com or zooksenterprise.com should come right up.
Okay, so you got 2 websites?
No, they interlink with each other.
Okay. It's a great story, and it's a great hustle, and you're only 22.
Yeah, like I said, we're still figuring it out. We don't have all the answers. I'm still learning. I learned a lot last year. I know Jake could echo that too. And I watched your last podcast where you were saying you were doing flipping, and then the goal is to get out of flipping. And that's something that I thought about doing for a little while, but I think I'm going to stick with long-term flipping or short-term rental.
Yeah. So your whole story is really inspiring, I think. And that's why we wanted to talk to you, because you started out 16 going from a completely different environment, just throwing yourself out there into a brand new environment, not really knowing what to do, but you just took the bull by the horns and did it anyway. And then you didn't just stop there. You also started a business and then bought real estate and you didn't just buy real estate, you bought it off market, seller finance. Like you really just threw yourself in there and figured it out. It's I guess you determined it's not rocket science, so you can figure stuff out. If you
Yeah.
work hard enough, you can figure it out. And I think your story is an inspiring one because a lot of people get stuck just thinking and trying to learn and thinking and learning. And your story is a great example of you just do it.
You have to do it. And we tell people that all the time when they say, oh, I want to wait till I get another job. I want to wait till I make this much money. I want to make everything's always I wait. They watch all these videos and they just do nothing. You just did it. You put that house under contract and you didn't have enough money to pay Jake.
Tell me, yeah, we're good.
This is great. It did.
I wasn't going to tell Jay. I knew there was going to be a way. And that's so true with both of Eka and both of what you said. There's never a perfect time. If you always wait till the perfect time, you'll never get there. You know, when I bought the house, I didn't have all the money. So that wasn't a perfect time. When I started my construction company, it wasn't a perfect time. It was in the spring. It was a rough time to start. It was actually more in the winter. And I almost didn't make it actually because I didn't have enough work. It was very hard and took a lot of jobs that you barely made anything. And I didn't really say how I really got my name out last year in particular. We did a lot of mailers to homeowners. And I know that seems old fashioned, but it really did work very well for us last year. People would get and be like, oh yeah, I need my roof done. And obviously you looked at a lot of roofs that you never got, but it did get us quite a bit of jobs.
What's crazy now, I think that I don't get all those flyers in the mail anymore. I get bombarded on email, Facebook, Instagram. Maybe that is the way to go now. Start selling mailers out again.
I don't know. It's very expensive, but it has worked very well.
But
yeah, so that's how you're finding a lot of roof jobs right now is sending mailers. That's correct. I think that's a good tip. Yeah.
You don't drive around, knock on people's doors that have looks like they need a roof.
So I do very little of that. I hate knocking on doors actually.
Yeah.
And so I would rather have them call me.
Pay somebody.
Yeah.
Say, you give someone a percentage, sell me a roof.
I should. I did that for a very short period of time when I was desperate enough. So if I get desperate enough, I will.
Just say, I'm paying door knockers. We'll call them door knockers.
So Dave's like, I don't have to do that anymore. We're good.
Yeah, I'd rather not do that, but if I have to, I will.
Yeah. Well, good for you.
No, I think our name's getting out there, and there again, just keeping the customers happy. That's a chore. Just making sure the customers' expectations are met. I've come to the point where you just gotta. Everything that comes to your mind that might be a question, you got to just text it over, email it over to them, explain it in the most detail. Customers really appreciate when you give them every expectation that they should have and be just upfront with them because it really builds trust because a lot of contractors don't have very good trust. For example, we did a roof in, I think it was Bloomsburg. The contractor came in June of last year, started it, and she paid him all up front.
I hate that.
Yeah. He worked there. It was him and another guy. It wasn't even that much, only like 15 square. It could have easily been done in a week, even with two guys, I would say. He worked there off and on, and this is now November, and the roof's still not done. And we get a call. She says, my roof's not done. Winter's coming. I want it done, and we got it done in 2 days. Just having those expectations and being upfront when the project, obviously with the snow and the rain, it's hard to tell them we're going to be done on Friday. It might be Monday, but just being clear with expectations really helps to build trust.
100%. And before we leave, what are your thoughts on, so we're all in Pennsylvania. I want to get this is a national show, but what are your thoughts on Pennsylvania in general?
With regulations and stuff?
No, just you're investing in Pennsylvania. You own a business in Pennsylvania. What is your outlook for Pennsylvania?
I think it's not the best place to live for sure in the country, but I think it's a great state. I think the economy is pretty good. I think the rural area is pretty lively. In our area, we don't have a lot of exciting things going on, maybe like Scranton or up where you guys are at. But I enjoy it. It's a more country living, which I really enjoy, and I like working. I don't like working in the city if I don't have to. Can't get parking for vehicles and stuff. I enjoy this area. I think it's nice. The people are great. I think hopefully the economy gets even better here in the next couple of years. It does feel like I don't feel it so much as I did last year that it was really tight for people to put a new roof on. Yeah. I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, it could get better. but it's not the worst place to live. The regulations could be a little less, but it's part of it.
All right.
Mike,
I
do
guess.
you have anything else before we depart?
Who you talking to me?
Yeah.
No, I'm good. I'm just amazed with Dave's story. I think it was really. We'll just leave it at Dave's story today.
Yeah.
David, great. I'm happy for you. I'll try to send you business.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah,
Yeah.
reach out 570-238-4334, and we'll be happy to take a look at it, get you an estimate, and see what we can do for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully I answered all your questions. I was totally uncut. I didn't have any notes, so you got it right out.
Yeah, neither
from
do
the
we.
horse's mouth.
I got off a conference call at 10 o'clock to get on here, but it was awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. And anyone out there listening and want to be on our show, reach out to us. We're looking
And if
for,
anybody wants to get a hold of Dave, his info is going to be in
on the
description
bottom.
below. And if you need a roof done in Pennsylvania, Dave's your guy, or surrounding areas, give him a call. I've used him before. He does a great work, and he's pretty affordable. So
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Dave. Thank you,
thanks,
Dave.
guys.
All right, we're out.
Thank you.
Let's go down. Let's go.
All right.
Let's go. Great job, Dave. Thank you.
Thank you.